Time to get to our next guest, singer Josh Groban. How are you, man?
Oh, good. Good to see you.
Dude, I would just like to say that it was actually one of your Grobanites that reminded me of my poppy fell out.
Oh,
so
thanks, guys.
you're really on the ball.
Got to put that on.
Quick question. How old are you now?
I'm 25 years old.
25 years old. 25 years old, international phenom, sold millions of CDs, concerts around the world, devoted fans, a bunch of them are here. We'll talk more to Josh in a minute, but get you all caught up. Here's his bio. Josh Groban, plain and simple, this guy is a huge star. He's performed at the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony, closing ceremonies of the Olympic Games in Salt Lake City, and the Oscars. Okay, fine. So how did he get here? Well, back when he was 17, David Foster, the musical producer, needed a singer for the California governor's inauguration. No, not Arnie, but the guy that Arnie replaced, Gray Davis. Groban's vocal coach knew Foster, sent him Groban's tape. Josh rehearsed for the event, nailed it. Next up, the Grammy Awards. Oh, yeah, but here's the cool story. So Andrea Bocelli, you know him, right? The big opera star. Hey, everybody loves Andrea, right? He was supposed to do a duet with Celine Dion, but Andrea got sick. So Foster called on Groban and said, yo, bro, can you fill in? I'm paraphrasing the conversation, by the way. Well, he didn't just fill in. He nailed it. It was the Grammys. Oh, by the way, the host of the Grammys that year, Rosie O'Donnell, who also happened to have a pretty big daytime talk show. So she booked Josh. Since then, Josh has been on Oprah, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, some program called Ally McBeal. Kevin, our floor director, loves that. He's put out 2 CDs and has a legion of fans known as Grobanites. Grobanites. They're kind of like Deadheads, but without as much dope. Or the Kiss Army, but without much makeup. Oh, and by the way, he also met Nelson Mandela a few years ago and was made an ambassador for Mandela's global campaign to fight HIV/AIDS among children. By the way, if you saw the Live 8 concert, the guy singing with Sarah McLachlan, Josh. That's right. Performed at the Tsunami Aid concert as well. Also created his own foundation to help children around the world, and it's a pleasure to have him. Nice to see you, man.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Is all that stuff true that we said?
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah,
we just guessing, dude.
It's all guesstimates. You know.
Totally guessing. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to you. First of all, one of the last images we saw was the Nelson Mandela thing, and you know we're around celebrities all the time. You are around them, but what's it like to stand next to Nelson?
Just I was awe-inspired. I mean, it's one of those things where, like you said, you meet so many different people, but when you have the opportunity to meet somebody like Mandela, you don't say much. You just sit back and try to keep your jaw off the floor and just listen to everything that the man has to say and just hope that the moment won't go by too quickly because, it was so tremendous. And the whole trip to South Africa for me was one that was life-changing. Meeting him and hearing what he had to say and becoming one of the ambassadors for his AIDS Foundation. And then going to Soweto, taking a van and going out to one of his feeding shelters and seeing the work that he's doing there. And then also, in a sense, seeing firsthand what can be done and what I could then walk away with to help with. So it was really the whole situation left me with a feeling of just complete inspiration.
You know, it's not that long ago when it was that you were trying to do this for a living.
Yeah, that's true.
Versus when you're actually doing it for a living on the scale you're doing it. And I wonder, the question is, what's the roller coaster ride like? But I want to know more. How difficult has it been in a sense? Because I know there's a lot of great that comes with it. But tell me about what it's like going through that sort of rise.
Well, I mean, what winds up happening, I think anybody that says that, they had their big break, it winds up being because you're in the right place at the right time, but it's the preparation meets the opportunity. And so, and a lot of times that opportunity, you don't know that that's the opportunity when it happens. And for me, meeting David, singing with Celine that night, I originally said, I don't think I can do this. Thank you, but no thank you. Because I was scared. I was terrified. I was 17 years old, and I had to fill in the shoes of a 45-year-old opera superstar, and I was thinking to myself, well, I just don't want to mess up, so. And he called me back and he said, no, you don't understand. I'm not asking you. You're not going to let me down. Get your butt over here. And so I went. And that was one of the first things that really taught me that it's about really throwing yourself into the fire and taking those risks. And so to a certain extent, it's been a huge rise. But at the same time, I still very much feel like a student of it. And I'm learning every step of the way.
Is it hard to keep that together because you travel more, you do more, you sing more? And I find the busier you are, the harder it is to work at your craft. So, yeah. Like, you go on Oprah, you go on all these shows, and it's like, wow, I have a day job, which is to perform.
Exactly. When things start being handed to you, when you start getting mass media, and things start becoming a little easier in terms of getting attention, the risk factor involved and the thing that you have to really watch out for, and I think it's the reason why there's a lot of music out there after a while that just for whatever reason you can't put your finger on it, but it's just not as inspiring to you anymore as when it started, is just that it's easy to kind of rest on that. And one of the things that I've really wanted to pay homage to the success with is to not, keep the security blanket around you. If you feel like what you're doing is becoming a formula, break the formula and try something that hasn't been done before, and work with people and try new things that really put the opportunity out there for failure. And I think that when you do that, that's when the most exciting things happen.
You did one of the number one things to get heat, criticism, is by doing a charity and being the foundation, doing that sort of stuff. The moment a celebrity puts their name on stuff like this,
right,
they open themselves up. And you've done that. How's that been for you, that process?
My foundation is very modest. We're doing everything that we can. It really started because of the passion and the money raising of the fans, and they raised so much money, and it was always something that I knew I wanted to do. I just didn't know that I would do it so soon. But as they started auctioning off autographs, and they'd have me sign things after concerts, and I thought it would wind up on eBay, and it wound up winding up in a big check for me after a concert for $25,000. And with them we've raised over $300,000, and it's just we're working up from there. But one of the things leaving South Africa and with the success is that you just feel like, it's fun. First of all, it's so much fun to give back, especially when you can see the change. When it comes to something like the food scheme in South Africa, when it comes to just survival and food and poverty, a little bit really, really goes a long way. So it becomes kind of a mission when you get the bug and you see it firsthand.
Were you this guy before all this happened? Like when you were 16 years old, did you guys get open to what's happening in the world, or has it always been with you?
I've always been aware of it, and I think as we all are, we all know that change is necessary in many parts of the world, and that charity is necessary. And of course, when you're younger and broke, it's hard. It's harder. But as things started happening, as I was able to travel around the world and see it firsthand, and as I started having a great support system and finally had the money to give, then you do get much more energized, and it becomes much more serious.
The Grobanites have been obviously very supportive of your fans, but it's at a point where we've done this show this is our third season.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. When we walked in, there was this sort of like...
They are very crazy!
Is it Tom Jones, man? Do you get underwear or anything like that?
Every now and again, the underwear goes...
Is it the kind of underwear you like to receive? No one ever asked the question to Tom.
It's women's underwear, primarily,
well,
yes.
Is that, there you go.
So that's good. But no, they're crazy, but in the best possible way. They're great. And the cool thing about it is that, it hasn't just been about, fanaticism and the music. They've been amazing at supporting the music, and they'll stand out in the cold to anything that I'm doing. And it's great to have that support as an artist, but beyond that, they've become like a great community of friends. And when I got involved in the charity work, like I said, the charity work's been phenomenal. And they're kind of just there through the thick and thin, and so it's great.
If you're into classical music and you like to hear that stuff, there's a piano player around the world named Long Long,
sure.
A dynamite player.
Yeah.
Brought a certain excitement and actually opened up classical music to a lot of younger people who perhaps wouldn't have seen it.
Totally.
And I know that you see it in sports, what Tiger Woods has done for golf.
Yeah.
You're a young man singing the kind of music that you sing, and generally you don't see young people sing this, certainly not on this stage, this level.
Right.
Have you noticed your audience, a younger audience who perhaps are coming out with their parents when they wouldn't have before? It
has changed, yeah. It's been really, really exciting to see the demographic, just widen, and so, when I was here playing Air Canada Centre, it was really, really cool because you don't really know who's out there. It's just kind of this black abyss when you're on stage. You don't see really anything. And then by the end of the show, these young kids were like rushing the stage, and I'm like, do you understand what I'm singing?
It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna go home and learn.
Hey, your new CD, Awake, the 7th of November, it gets released. Is this your single Canadian co-writer on this one?
Yeah, it's Hawk Salters. Yeah, a great guy, great writer, great song. The whole process making this album, every writer, every producer, I spent a lot of time traveling around the world, and this one got to work with amazing artists like Ladysmith Black Mambazo and Busi
They were on the show last week.
Oh, were they?
Brilliant, man.
Just the spirit that they have is just so tremendous. We did a song and that I wrote with Dave Matthews. It was just a great experience. And then, Herbie Hancock lent his genius to one of the tracks.
Miles Davis's band, man.
I know.
It was Miles Davis's, and he made that rocket, that bump, bump, bump.
You're telling me.
But tomorrow on our show, we're doing a special on fear. Handling your fear. Are you deathly afraid of anything?
Oh, deathly afraid. I wouldn't say I'm deathly afraid.
Are you,
but
like, illy afraid? Them?
No. Yeah, I used to be afraid of you. No. I've learned to embrace you. No. When you're young and you get fans that are like all over you and have your picture everywhere, and you're just like a kid out of high school, it's like, what's going on? You know?
Fair enough.
But yeah.
Thanks for coming,
hey,
man.
thank you for having me.
Josh Groban.